Hello, and welcome to the Nonprofit Capacity Building Grant Information Session. In case we have not met, I wanted to introduce myself. My name is Ann Berger. I'm the Grant Making Manager, and I oversee our competitive grant programs at the Foundation, as well as our youth philanthropy group, the Teens for Tomorrow, and they actually have a competitive grants program as well. All of that can be found on our website. Um, you know, as you are attending this meeting, that we are grant makers, but we are so much more. We have the Harris Center for Nonprofit Excellence that I know some of you have already taken advantage of programming and resources. We provide a endowment building and donor services through our wonderful development department. And we also have a very robust scholarship program. Again, if you visit our website and spend a little time there, I think you might be really pleasantly surprised by what we have to offer. In fact, in the media recently, one of our community initiatives was a joint effort between the foundation and downtown Davenport to address the issue of unhoused resources that has now lent itself to a regional response. Just recently, in the last few months, we have also added the Mission Link, which is one more way for organizations and the people within them to convene and find resources and support and connection. So reach out, let me know how I can connect you with any of these efforts. Today, though, we're talking about the nonprofit capacity building grant process, and we want to make sure you understand eligibility, whether your organization and project is eligible. Step 2 is to log on or log into our online grant system, as all of our applications are found online. The submission for the LOI or pre-application, also found online, is due September 1st. You will be notified via email by September 15th, so you might want to put that date on your calendar as a reminder. When you get notified, you will be notified either way. And if your application, LOI, is going to move forward for full application, you will be assigned that application as well. If it is approved, that full application will be submitted a hard deadline of November 1st. So, as a reminder, put these on your calendar, right? We don't want you to miss a day opportunity of knowing whether you are moving ahead in the process. I know that's important for funding, but it's also important for writing your grant. Knowing that the pre-application is a two-step process, recalling that the due date for that LOI is September 1st. By September 15th, you will know whether you are assigned full application, and if so, that application will be due November 1st. Grant decisions are made the week of November 30th. That means you will be notified, and grants will be paid out about the first week of December for sure. So, how do you know if you are eligible? Who can apply? Well, 501c3 nonprofit organizations that are already organized in Rock Island or Scott counties or both. Any other nonprofit organization that is considered charitable. So you may enter into fiscal sponsorship with a 501c3 nonprofit. The LOI will invite you to share that information if that is the type of organization that you are. And then if you are an organization that hasn't received this grant in the last 3 years, so 2024, if you were granted awarded a grant, you would not be eligible until the spring cycle of 2027, and that will open in March again. This is a list of ineligible projects. Again, this mirrors what is on our website. So just knowing that there are certain types of projects that are not eligible for this particular grant program, but are available and can be funded through our operations and programs grant. So not all grants are, not all projects rather, are eligible for nonprofit capacity building funding. How much can we apply for? Well, every organization can apply for anything between $5,000 and $20,000. And knowing sometimes capacity building projects are 3 years, 1 year, 2 year, you do have the flexibility of the request being a 1-year grant, a 2 or a 3-year grant. Our annual budget is $300,000. In the spring decision meeting, just shy of $150,000 worth of projects were funded. So we have just slightly over $150,000 for our fall cycle. So what do we mean by capacity building? Well, I think that is a great question. I think it is a challenging one to sometimes understand and share about. So I'm going to give a lot of different examples today. In general, it is anything related to trainings and learnings and professional development and strategizing and all of the things that lead to you being able to deliver on your mission better, to meet your clients better, and also to look at the sustainability of your nonprofit. So what we mean by that is essentially building and strengthening the systems and the structures, cultures, skills and resources and power that nonprofits need to serve communities. And those are ever changing. So another way to put it, focus effort to make your organization better at its mission. And many of you are thinking about how do we not just improve for now, but for tomorrow. Capacity building opportunities and projects can meet that need. It is truly an investment. In fact, I liken it to sort of like a savings account for your organization. A capacity building project is an investment that can prepare you, your leadership, your board, your staff to better, have more options and maybe and perhaps be a little more accurate in the way that you are reporting your information and your good work, all the good things that you are doing. So many different things that you can do to invest in tomorrow. And they can be found in capacity building projects. And that's great, but how, right? So this is where we start. We start thinking about an activity, right? So these are a list of the eligible capacity building activities, all listed on the left. In fact, on the LOI, you will be asked to select one of the areas or one of the activities that is eligible for capacity building. And what's important here is it's not just doing the training, it's not just doing the strategic planning or, adopting new technology and software, but the question is for what reason? Like, what is it that you want to improve? Again, on your LOI, you will be invited to select, and it's not just limited to this list, but select in what ways your organization will be seeking and realizing organizational capacity, right? So, what are some of these things? For example, hiring a consultant to train staff, right? To do what? To improve maybe meeting your clients, increasing your client capacity. I think there are a lot of organizations that are interested in increasing or even adopting new ways of fundraising, as it is an art, as it is a science. And so, hiring a consultant for those purposes is such an excellent capacity building activity. Sometimes the training that you need for your staff, for your leadership, has to come from the outside. So that is also a capacity building activity in order to do what? Maybe to improve upon delivery of your mission or program delivery capacity. I think this is often a request, especially recently. A lot of organizations are seeing a need to maybe and perhaps adopt software platforms and programs to help with security, or even just a new CRM, and then they're finding maybe and perhaps their technology is lagging in that area. So capacity building activity or grant is such a great opportunity to improve maybe fundraising, asset development capacity, or your data management, your client, serving your clients better in terms of like capturing their information. And we can never ever discount the importance of strategic planning for the future. Or maybe you're experiencing some changes in your board. What kinds of training would be helpful for new board members? All with the idea of there's something that it is you would like to see organizationally wide improving. What is not eligible are essentially those operational costs, right? So we cannot use funding for a new staff position, for program consumables. If you are hosting an event and you want to be able to buy refreshments, that type of thing, consumables. We also don't fund through this grant program any sort of capital programs. And I think this one comes up oftentimes, the use of like rental space for capacity building. If your training is going to be off site, this particular grant and the funds attached cannot be used as part of that rental of a space, perhaps for a capacity building project. Not always is this true, but I think a good rule of thumb is if you can pick up your organization, turn it upside down, shake it, and what falls out is what you were applying for, it's probably not eligible for a capacity building project. If you're unsure, ask, right? What are you going to see on the form? We will ask you your charitable status, information about your organization, how many volunteers, how many people are employed, just basic information like that. Obviously, we're going to ask you questions about the project, just general big picture overview of what that project will look like, as well as the project budget. You don't have to be in the weeds with this budget. However, we will ask for that information if you are invited to full application. So one of the other things that you will be asked to share is an aggregated board demographic data on that full application as well. But that's for later. This is for now on your LOI. Often asked, how will my application be evaluated? There are so many things on the rubric that is used to evaluate, and I want to be clear, organizations are not competing against each other. You will be evaluated, your application is evaluated against the rubric. So you may not fire on all cylinders and see that you are scoring high on all of these measures, but you want to take into consideration as many as you can. All of these are important, but not all of them may be a score higher for you. It's always going to balance out, right? So those are the measures, however, the rubric for against which your application will be evaluated. I want to remind you that LOI evaluation is done internally, and if invited to full application, all full applications will be evaluated by a community of people, of volunteers on this grant committee who will be evaluating, and they have all different perspectives. We try to really find a diverse population of people, some of whom are in the spaces that you are as nonprofits, and some of them are in our private sector, some of them are a little younger, a little older, and come from many multiple backgrounds, so that we have so many, we have this robust conversation about applications when we have diverse evaluators. So what qualities, this is asked oftentimes, does a successful application have? I think there are many things, right? So if I were to look back at even just the most recent cycle of grants, I think organizations who can present leadership and demonstrate that the leadership and the decision makers for their organizations are really represented by the clients that they serve. So the lived experience or just the demographics of the clients that they serve. I think having a really strong case for this project being a priority right now, what can you share that will allow a reader of this application to understand this. We've done some things in advance, so this is the right project at the right time. I think also having very specific answers, very clear answers as to how, if awarded funding, how will your organization know that you have been successful at the capacity building project, like at achieving it, the things that you had hoped for, the goals that you had set out to achieve as a result of the capacity building project. Being clear with that is important. That is one of the reasons why, in lieu of signing up for one-on-one sessions with me, which are going to be limited, my bandwidth is limited. I also will be out of the country in the weeks leading up to the LOI deadline. So I am offering an opportunity for you to register to attend a free 1-hour workshop at QCCF. Show up with a draft, show up with your laptop at any stage. Ideally, you have looked at the application so you can sort of pinpoint the questions that you have. It's a safe place to think, share, pre-write. I will be happy to speak with you one-on-one. I just want to be clear that this is not a guarantee that funding will immediately follow because you've attended. It is not a tutorial as to how to write this particular grant according to Quad City Community Foundation staff. And it also is not a teaching people how to write grants. It's none of those things. However, I think you will find ample opportunity to really kind of understand how to best put your best application forward. And I trust that you'll have that opportunity by attending one of our workshops. Grant writing tips. By the way, that QR code will take you directly to the RSVP place on our website. Grant writing tips, just a couple I'm going to share. Please, please, please know that you might have already done some of this writing. Don't forget that you may have written up sections or parts of this application for other funders. Take advantage of what already exists. I want to address specifically just a cautionary tale about using AI. I absolutely know that it is helpful for so many people to use AI resources. And that said, I will tell you that what we noticed in the spring cycle of this particular grant from evaluators noting that there were some very vague responses to some of the questions in the application. And I think if you are using AI, please be sure to lay your eyes on it because I think you know your organization best and can speak to your organization best. I would say, if one thing I could tell you, I would encourage you to use your ideas, to use more of your voice and your organization's voice in your answers. Our committees don't evaluate your writing prowess, but they absolutely do comment when they can hear about you and your organization and the passion that you have for your organization. And obviously a clear discussion of your capacity building project. And specific, right? So those are all very important. Before I let you go, I'm just going to land on this particular slide that gives you all of the dates and times for our capacity building grant workshops. Again, all of them are held. They're not recorded. They're not shared anywhere online. All of them are held at the foundation in our community room. Again, QR code is there, or you can go online. There is a place for you to locate also the space for RSVPing. Again, let me know if you have any questions. I really look forward to you showing up for one of our grant workshops. I think it's going to be a really great opportunity. You never know who's going to be there to be able to network with. And again, it'll give you that opportunity to meet one-on-one with staff about your specific project and your application. So best of luck to all of you. You know where to find me. Go ahead, email me. but would love to see you at one of these events. Take care. Have a good afternoon.